we've read the Gingerbread Man story, I'm going to have a go at baking one. So you could have a go at baking a gingerbread man today, or you might think of something else that you could cook to do with fairy tales. So have a think, and then I'm going to have a go now at baking a gingerbread man. Okay, puffins, we're in the kitchen. Gonna cook some gingerbread men to do with our fairy tale story of the gingerbread man. First things first, wash our hands to make sure everything is hygienic. Hands are washed. Now, what I've got here is a printout of the recipe that we're going to need to do and make the gingerbread man. Now, if you have a look at the recipe, got lots of information. The first thing I want to know is the ingredients that I'm going to need so that I can collect all the things so I'll be ready for when we make the gingerbread man. So here's my list of ingredients. So I've got to get some flour, some bicarbonate of soda, ginger, cinnamon, butter, brown sugar and an egg and some golden syrup. So I'm going to get those things ready. And there we have them. So they're all the ingredients I need. And then what I've got to do on a recipe, so it tells you what you put in, which are the ingredients. And then if we have a look at the recipe, there's something here called a method. And that's really the instructions of how to bake your gingerbread man. And in every recipe you have a method and it tells you what to do. And you have to do it in the right order, otherwise your cooking and anything you bake might come out very strange. So the first thing says, sift together the flour, the bicarbonate of soda, the ginger and the cinnamon. So that's a lot, isn't it? And then we'll put into a bowl. Okay, so let's do that bit first. Now I can't just put the whole bag of flour in. I've got to look at my ingredients and it tells me how much to put in. And it says here 350 grams. So how am I going to work that out? What do I need to use? Yeah, I'm going to get some weighing scales and I'm going to pour the flour in until it reaches this number here, 350 grams. Let's do that first. So I've got my bowl, I've got it on my weighing scales here, my digital ones, and it says 0 grams at the moment. You can see that. Now I've got a sift, 350 grams of the flour in. So I'll go and get my sieve. So I've got my sieve ready. I'm going to start pouring in the flour. Why do you think we have to sieve the flour? Do you know? What does that help? What does it stop happening? Do you know? Well, have a look at the flour when you do it. You'll see it's really all lumpy. And if you sieve the flour, makes it go in a bit like a fine dust and gets rid of all the little lumpy bits and breaks all the lumps up. I need a bit more because I've got to go to 350 grams. Shaking it on my hand just so it makes it fall in the bowl quicker. 355, so I put a little bit too much in. So what shall I do? Take some out, didn't I? So I'm just going to spoon a little bit out and hopefully I can get it to 350. So that's 352. Take a little bit more out, 350. Now I've got a teaspoon ready, the small spoon, and it says put 1 teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda in. There we go. And then I've got to put in some ginger, and for ginger it wants 2 teaspoons this time, so we need 2 of these. Where's my sieve? There's 1 and 2. I'm just going to stir that through the sieve, get rid of the lumpy bits. And the cinnamon, we only have to have 1 teaspoonful. Now with the ginger, when you use it, of course, smell that. These spices, and then smell the cinnamon. Oh, how much smell of those. How much of this? 1 teaspoon of the cinnamon as well. Don't want like a big heap. I want it quite flat. I'll mix that one in there, sieve it in. Add the butter. So how much butter do I have to put in? And the butter says 125 grams. So we're going to have to weigh that again. Let's put that in. I'm going to put a lump like this in. Oh, it's only 18. Oh, I'm going to need a lot more than that then. Let's put a bigger chunk in. And we've got 78. Oh no. How much is it? 125. Right. Let's try another lump. 98. What if I put this bit in? 119. Almost there. 123. So 2 more grams until I get to 125. Hooray! Have a look at this. Can you see that? 125. I'm just going to cheat quickly now and chop up some of the butter so it's easier for me to mix. Oh, now the fun bit. Got to turn all of this into breadcrumbs. Now, some of you might do it on a gadget at home in a blender or something. I'm going to get my fingers in there and I have to like really do this and squish it all together. I'm going to mix that flour and all those powders up as well to make sure they're all mixed in. And then rub the butter into the flour. It'll take a little while, but it's quite nice and soft. So it's taking me about 3 or 4 minutes just to rub all the butter into the different kind of powders that we've got in there, the flour and the bicarbonate of soda and the ginger and the cinnamon spices. But hopefully I've rubbed all the butter in now, which has also mixed all the ingredients up. And if you have a look in the bowl, you can kind of see what it looks a bit like breadcrumbs. I'll show you. Can you see in there where it's gone a bit like, you know, like when you've got a sandwich and the crumbs that are left on your plate and all the butter's been mixed in now with all the different ingredients so far. And the next thing says to stir in the sugar. So now we've got to weigh out, how much sugar does it say? It says 175 grams. So I'm going to put 175 in. I've got my scales ready, they're on 0. And it's not like the sugar you would see that maybe you put in on your cereal or in drinks and things. This one is light brown. Keep going until I get to 175 grams. Grams is an important word when you weigh things. You weigh things in grams. Like when you measure with a ruler, that's called measuring with like centimetres. And the different scale here when we're weighing is called grams. Oh, I can smell the sugar, it sounds delicious. And if you can see that says 175 grams. And now I've got to stir in the sugar with this mixture. Oh, when you do, you should, oh, the smells are delicious. Stir it all in. It's very dry at the moment, isn't it? Oh, it does smell delicious. I'm just make sure I stir all the sugar in. And can you see? Oh, the sugar's now stirred in. Slightly turning my ingredients a light brown colour, isn't it? Okay, next thing says, something to do with the eggs. So we need an egg. I'm going to crack this into a jug. Oh, did you hear that? Plop. 4 tablespoons of syrup. Oh, I love syrup. Oh, how gooey it is. Right, 4 tablespoons. So this is a bigger spoon than the teaspoon. Right, here we go. 1. Oh, look, it's going to come off slowly, isn't it? 2. Right, 3. Oh, I can smell this too. The smells cooking gingerbread, man. Just awesome. So I've done 3. How many more do I need for 4? Yeah, just 1 more. Not sure if they're supposed to be this big, but I love syrup. Alright, that's my 4th and final one. So you've got to beat it together, so I'm going to get a fork. And then put my fork in with the egg. And what I want to try and do is break up the egg, so really mix it in, break up the yolk. I'm just going to pour it all into the bowl. And then, hopefully, get it mixed in until the mixture clumps together. Okay, so I'm going to give it a good old mix. Keeps changing different kind of textures. Started all soft and crumbly, and now it was all gooey. But actually, what's happening when you mix the flour starting to happen. Can you see? All that liquidy, gooey stuff we just put in is starting to stick to all the other ingredients. So what we want to try and do now is make this into a dough so that we can roll it out and make our gingerbread man shape. I'm going to get my hands in now, try and start mixing it together that way. Right, can you see that it's all kind of going into a dough? It's all stuck together, hasn't it? And it's changed from all that powdery looking floury and bicarbonate soda and the breadcrumbs that we had to being all stuck together. So I'm going to pour this out and try and knead it together so it makes a nice dough. So let's get this out. But just say briefly until it's smooth. So I don't want to over knead it, so I might press out the air that I've put in it. Okay. Look at that. It's actually working, I think. So it does look like a nice dough, doesn't it? It's like we could play Play-Doh with it, actually. What it says now, wrap it in cling film and leave to chill in the fridge for 15 minutes. What will happen if we leave it to chill? What does that mean? Can you tell me? Let's wrap it up in the cling film. There we go. And then I'm going to put this in my fridge to chill for 15 minutes. So I'm going to set the timer and then we'll get it back out in 15 minutes time. So the next bit, now that's in the fridge, it says to get the oven ready, we've got to preheat it. So that means it'll be warm before we put anything in there to cook. Now it says preheat to 180 degrees or 160, depending what oven you've got. And that's degrees centigrade. So when we weighed something, we weighed it in grams, and now we're looking at degrees centigrade for temperature. Now with the oven, do you think you should do it? Definitely get an adult, alright, because it'll be hot. So I'm going to do that first. So this is my oven dial, so I'm going to turn it around, turn it on, well you can hear it, come on. There's 150, I just need to go 10 more, which is this dot, for 160. This is the fan oven. And also while we're waiting for the oven to warm up and the dough to chill, it says on 2 baking trays we've got to line them with grease-proof paper. Now grease-proof paper looks a bit like tracing paper, and you cut it and put it over your tray for the right shape, and that hopefully will stop our gingerbread men from sticking, so we'll be able to take them out easily without breaking any of their heads or arms or legs off. I'm just going to cut this. And I'll cut 2 of those. There we go, they're ready. So once we've made our gingerbread man, we can put them on here and hopefully it won't stick. Right, I'll see you once everything is ready, chilled in the fridge. I'm going to lightly sprinkle some flour over where I'm going to roll it out. La, la, la. You can do this, can't you? Just spread it out a bit, wherever the dough is going to go. That's it. And then let's go and get the dough out of the fridge. As you unwrap it, feel it, and I think you can feel that the temperature of this dough has definitely dropped. It's definitely got chilly. Definitely chilled in the fridge, you can feel that. So I'll put that on there. So here's my rolling pin, I'm going to roll it out now. Roll it out. It's quite thin. And the best bit is your gingerbread man cutter to cut out your different gingerbread man shapes. Press it down, do one there. I can fit one in here. I can fit one here. Now my gingerbread man cutter is quite large, you might have a smaller one because it says you can make 20. I don't know if I'm going to get 20. How many have I got so far? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at that. Can you see them? And now I'm going to carefully just move the dough out of the way. take out my first gingerbread man, and then I have to put them on the baking tray. So I'm going to do that lots of times, and what you do is you keep rolling the dough back together and then rolling it out again so you can get as many as you possibly can out. So I'll put them on my tray. There's how many in this tray? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then in this tray, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What's 2 5s? What's double 5? 10. So I've made 10 larger gingerbread men, and then I had this bit left over, so I thought I'd make a ginger snake. Now the next bit is then to put them in the oven to bake them. And on the recipe, on the method part, telling you the instructions, it says bake for 12 to 15 minutes. So it's not very long actually. So I'll put them in the oven and hopefully none of them will run away. Alright, fingers crossed that they're done. It does smell really nice in here, so let's hope. Let's get them out. I think they're done. So now you've got to leave them to cool. But the snakes try to eat those two. So hopefully once they're cool they'll be a bit harder and then we'll be able to decorate them.